Progress in your training, you will become more familiar with the large variety of other head styles and parts produced by the cold header machine. The most important job function of a good cold header operator is to turn out quality headed parts. This will require periodical inspection of the headed blanks during normal production runs and careful inspection of the part after initial setup. The dimensional requirements for the part to be produced will be provided to you in the form of a part drawing or blueprint. You must read the print carefully for the required part dimensions and any special notations. This print will also give you dimensional tolerances. The tolerance refers to the amount larger or smaller than the dimensions on the print that the part can be measured and still be considered a quality part. If the print gives you an overall length of the blank, you can check the blank with a micrometer. In some cases, you will have to check the blank length under the head to the end of the part. This may be completed with a machinist scale. If the dimension and tolerances are given to you in decimal notations, you will be required to use a vernier or dial caliper. The head height of the blank can also be checked with a gauge designed specifically for that purpose. The blank is placed in the gauge, and the block and blank head is mic'd. The block is then mic'd separately. The difference in the readings gives you the head height. The body diameter and head diameter can easily be checked with a micrometer. Be sure to mic the body and head all the way around the blank by rotating the blank when micing the part. When micing the body, be sure to mic from top to bottom, as the body may be within tolerances at the feed box. You may need to adjust the pressure wrench or the support nuts to obtain this spacing. In addition, you should check the spacing under the center nuts on the pressure bar. These nuts must be adjusted until you obtain approximately 1/32 of an inch clearance between the bottom of the lower nut and the pressure bar. Once this is achieved, lock down the center lock nut. If you are just restocking the same job, you should be ready to make parts at this time. If you are setting up a new job with different size wire, you will have to change and adjust several of the stock feed components. Whenever the wire diameter is changed, you must change the feed rolls. The feed rolls contain grooves that are approximately 1/2 the diameter of the wire. The wire must pass between these grooves when being fed into the machine. Pressure exerted by the feed rolls cause the wire to be fed into the work area of the header as the rolls turn. To remove the feed rolls, loosen and remove the clamp screw and clamp. The rolls can now be pulled from their shafts. This is the feed tube. The purpose of the feed tube is to guide the wire from the feed rolls to the cutoff area of the machine. There will be times when the feed tube will have to be removed for cleaning. To remove the feed tube bracket clamp screw and pull the tube and the bracket from the machine. Clean the feed tube with an approved solvent. To replace, select the proper feed tube and insert it into the machine until the end of the tube enters the faceplate. Snug the bracket screw, but do not fully tighten it this time. You can now replace the feed rolls. The feed rolls will have a stamped number that indicates the diameter of the wire they are to be used for. The rolls must be used in match diameter sets. Check the stamp number to be sure you have the match set before installing. About the radius on the die, notify your supervisor before you install the die into the header. This will save a lot of time and wasted effort. Whenever you are required to set up a new job on the cold header, be sure you clean all of the blanks from the previous job from the heading area, discharge chute, and from around the base of the machine. Good cleaning practices will prevent damage to you and the machine. To set up a new job in the cold header, you may need to change the header die. To do this, you will have to remove the die block. To remove the die block, you must first disconnect the air fittings located on this side of the die block. Next, remove the lock nut above the die block wedge. Turn the wedge sleeve screw to the right to loosen the wedge. The wedge can now be slid out of the machine. Once the wedge has been removed, you can remove the wedge half of the split die block. The header die can now be slid out of the machine. To remove the quill half of the split die block, you will have to pull the pusher out far enough to clear the die block. Notice the feed rolls have been removed to show the location of this pusher arm. To remove the pusher, loosen the nut on the pusher arm located by the feed tube and move the pusher retaining plate down. You can now pull the pusher out far enough to clear the quill half of the split die block. The quill half of the die block can now be removed and the quill changed or rotated if necessary. Whenever you remove a header die from the machine, you should wipe the die clean. In addition, be sure the die blocks, wedge, and machine area are wiped clean of dirt and excessive grease. Before installing the new die, measure the die for the old job and the die for the new job.